Hey friends, it's CranderQ, aka my real name, and you are tuning in to another episode of Redzone Roundup. I am the host of Friends and Squared Circle here, helping Mayhem Media with all 32 teams in the NFL. As you saw, we brought up the Rams today. We have a special guest joining us today. But before we get into that, we want to know what your favorite team is. Comment on the video, comment what your favorite team is, and we can get you on here just like Michael. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Like I told you off camera, we got a little bit of a tornado coming through. So if the lights go off, folks, just stay with us till I get up and turn it back on. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about your love of the Rams. And before we start, I guess I should have told you this off camera too. Again, not a good host, like I told you. Did you prefer them in St. Louis or Los Angeles?
I started with them in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Followed them to St. Louis, and followed them back to Los Angeles.
Nice. It's kind of funny how that happens, how they just go right back home, For me, I like that classic gold and, navy blue when they were St. Louis, and we'll get into, your favorite players here soon. But that's kind of the era that I really remember because I was born in the 80s. And as I started getting more into football, the Rams and the Patriots were the teams, kind of dominating both sides of the AFC and NFC. So,
yeah. So I actually became a Rams fan in the 79 season.
Okay.
And I became a Rams fan because I'm kind of a jerk. All right. And
I like this already.
And it started young. I was like 8 years old at this time. And I'm outside playing and I come inside. My dad's watching a playoff football game with the Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
And the winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl to play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
And so I look at my dad. Hey, what are you watching? It's like, I'm watching football. Are you stupid or something? It's like, okay, I see where this is going, right? And I said, well, who's playing? He's like, well, Tampa Bay against the Rams, and the winner goes to the Super Bowl. I was like, who are you rooting for? He's like, I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, and I've been a Rams fan ever since.
Nice. That's hilarious. Yeah, same with me with Baltimore. I'm from Wisconsin here, and everyone around me is a cheesehead, diehard family members. We'd go to my great aunt's every Sunday and watch the game. And I was just like, they're so annoying. I'm glad I'm not like that. I have to pick my own team. And luckily, Baltimore had came out, or they moved to Baltimore, I should say, around that time. I was like, well, they're new. They're purple, which, my family hates purple being Packer fans. So I was like, that's my team. So luckily, we've been successful in our short run, but we are basically the Green Bay Packers of the AFC. We can get there, we get to the championship game, and then we continue to lose. San
Francisco does the same thing.
Yeah, San Francisco, I got to give them a little respect because they've been doing great with, young players that they keep getting. So.
Oh, yeah, they're doing phenomenal. They just can't win the last game of the year.
Yeah, and it sucks that Patrick Mahomes is just that good. Anybody that gets, like a Brady or Rodgers or Mahomes, if they get that ball with like 16 seconds left, well, they're going to win, Nah, I'm sorry. The game's over. What do you mean? There's 16 seconds left. I'm like, yeah, he's going to go and score a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
And Peyton Manning, if you're listening, if you ever see a video of me, that's why I hate you for beating my Ravens all the time. Ben Roethlisberger, you as well, sir, can kick rocks. And Tom Brady, you are the GOAT, but you're an asshole. You could have shared some of those other Super Bowls with my Ravens, But enough about me. Let's jump into some of those favorite players, and I'll let you take it away there, Michael.
All right. Well, let's kind of go old to new. So, first favorite player, you have to go with Deacon Jones. And the reason is the sack did not exist. He got so many sacks. He actually coined the phrase sack the quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Before, it was just, I'm just going to tackle the guy, right? And they say that if they were counting sacks back in that time, he would be the all-time sack leader. So that's why he's one of my favorite Rams players. I mean, the guy invented the sack, and
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Today, right? It's a primary statistic. And then if we go next, we're looking at Roman Gabriel. He was an iconic Rams quarterback. He was actually drafted in the same year by the Raiders and the Rams.
Oh, wow.
They were AFL and NFL, I think.
Okay.
AFC, NFC. They weren't together yet into one league. So he was drafted by the Raiders and the Rams in 1962. So I thought that was kind of unique and interesting.
Definitely.
So great quarterback. One of the all-time best Rams quarterback. And honestly, we have a few good quarterbacks, but for like, if you think of how long the franchise has been around, all the way back to the Cleveland Rams days, we don't have that many great quarterbacks in that context. And then, gosh, there were so many to choose from because I wanted to go like the 1980s Eric Dickerson running back, but they never went to the Super Bowl, you know? And so that's where I come to Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk, I think, was the closest thing that we had to a Barry Sanders.
Yes. Yeah.
He could catch the ball. I mean, you had to track his yards from scrimmage, not just his rushing yards, like with most running backs. And we took, between him and Kurt Warner, took the losingest franchise in the 90s to the Super Bowl in 1999. And then Kurt Warner, he's got a great story. I mean,
I love the movie that I got to jump in there. That movie. Yep.
Yeah, he went from, playing Arena League barnstormers and stocking shelves at the Hy-Vee grocery store in Iowa to winning Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a run. And he just came out, and I remember when Trent Green went down that preseason game on that dirty, nasty, filthy hit that changed the rules of hitting a quarterback, below the waist. And when Dick Vermeil was in tears saying, we're going to roll with Kurt Warner, I was like, Kurt Warner, like the running back that the Rams and Seahawks used to have? Who's this Kurt Warner guy? So yeah, I had my doubts, but those are four of my favorite. I'm not going to say they're my only favorites, but four of my favorites. And most iconic moment for me as a Rams fan has to be that.
We'll jump into that slide there too. There we go.
Has to be that Super Bowl they went to against the Tennessee Titans, formerly the Houston Oilers. It came out of nowhere. They were scoring 30+ points a game. Greatest show on turf. You can't come up with a better nickname than that.
Right. Yeah. Marshall Faulk. Yeah. Just running all over people.
And the Titans put up a fight, and it was a comeback, and the Titans were on a roll. Fourth quarter, under 2 minutes, marching down the field. Last gasp effort. They're down by 7. Last gasp effort. They throw a deep ball. The receiver catches it. And I believe it was Mike Johnson, I think was the Rams defender's name.
Okay.
Who made the tackle at the 1 yard line to prevent that from going into overtime. And, when you think about like scoring at the last second, you get all that momentum, and I wasn't real confident about a coin toss and the Super Bowl. And remember, back in those days, the rule was first team that scores. Yeah,
3 to win. Yep. So and with Eric McNair, I believe Frank Wycheck was there. I don't think Derek Mason was that high up on the list yet. I'd have to double check if the fans roast me for it, but. I mean, that was a great offense, and Eddie George in the backfield as well. I mean, 2 dominant running backs, 2 big running backs, like both of those guys easily. Like, I'm a Ravens fan. Like, there's clips of Eddie George destroying Ray Lewis. There's clips of, Marshall Faulk just running through people, So, I mean, dominant running games, great passing games.
And just create. I mean, it was very interesting because Jeff Fisher, he was part of the 85 Bears, the Bad News Bears, Mike Singletary backfield. So very hard-hitting, defensive-minded coach against greatest show on turf. We're just going to throw the ball 50 yards every play type of thing. And if we don't do that, we're going to chuck it sideways to Marshall Faulk and he'll run it for 50 yards on the reception. So
did they have Torrey Holt with them during that Super Bowl, or was that later
Torrey
on?
Holt, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, Kurt
I know
Warner.
of Isaac Bruce. I didn't know if Holt was there yet.
Yeah, that we believe.
That's just a Hall of Fame starting offense right there. Orlando Pace on the line too. My goodness.
That's my favorite. I have a second favorite moment, and it was probably mainly because it's against the nasty Seahawks, but the Rams were playing the Seahawks in Seattle, and they were down like 21 points in the fourth quarter, like 8 minutes to go, and they end up winning that game in overtime. It was just like, go downfield, score, big play, score, drive it down there, score again at the last second, force it into overtime. And I believe they had to kick return for a touchdown or a big pass, something like that to win. I forget the exact details. It was just, you score 28 points in 8 minutes to win a game by one touchdown against a team that you hate the most.
And that's a pretty fun division too. I mean, you got Arizona, you got San Francisco, and you said like those nasty Seahawks. It rivals that of the NFC North and that of the NFC. I believe is it the East, the Cowboys, or
yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, just hard knock football, a lot of good defenses, a lot of great offenses in that division. I mean, look at the 49ers now. Look at the Seahawks in the past. Arizona, I mean, we're not going to really talk about Arizona, but I mean, they're trending really good right now. So,
at present day, I love the Arizona draft. And so I was kind of projecting them of doing well like next year or the year after.
Okay.
The Rams just got the crap kicked out of them. Yeah, so I thought they'd be good next year or the year after, but they just beat the crap out of the Rams, and they look good right now. They took Buffalo to the limit, tell of two halves, but bring it back to the Rams are just beat up right now. I mean, down wide receiver 1, down wide receiver 2, down their left tackle, down their center, down their left guard, down their cornerback, the CB1 cornerback 1, 8 guys on IR. It is brutal right now for the Rams.
Yeah, definitely that will play a course in their division, especially it's pretty strong right now. Again, with Geno Smith, vitalizing his career, Arizona coming on strong. And San Francisco consistent over the last few years of being in those Super Bowls. Before we wrap up here, though, one thing I got to ask, we brought up those two logos. Which one do you prefer more? Me, I'm the cool, I like the old Ram logo, but I would actually prefer if that Ram was white and that navy blue. But how about you? What logo do you prefer? Just a weird question there. I got one more before we wrap her up here.
The old 1984 blue and yellow logo. So they've gone through a few. It's
I think they had like 12 when I looked it up again.
Yeah, actually, the Rams were the very first team to put a design on a helmet.
Oh man!
So
cool.
And it was just the horn, the yellow horn on the blue helmet. That's my favorite one.
Yep, and they got an iconic helmet too. So the last question before we go, we kind of talked about the injuries and stuff, but what's your prediction for this season? How do you see him finishing out? I know a couple years ago you got Matt Stafford there, and he got you there. He got the Super Bowl. I was so excited for him. But what are your predictions for this season here? And then we'll kind of wrap it up, and then we'll get you out of here.
Well, 3 weeks ago, I was thinking, like 12-5, 11-6. Now with the current roster and being beat up, I'm thinking 7-10.
Okay.
Yeah, because they've got some tough teams. They got Green Bay coming up, and their quarterback is going to be healthy. They got San Francisco this week.
Yep.
by the time they get healthy, they'll have lost quite a few games.
Yeah.
Then they'll just have to make up for it on the back end.
And who knows, something crazy could happen in the next few weeks in the NFL. I know Murray, he tends to deal with some issues there. So who knows? The NFC, I feel, is a little weak this year. So, I mean, getting one of those lesser records could sneak into the playoffs too. And I want to see Stafford do well. I liked him when he was in Detroit. It's good to see Jeff Goff also succeeding in Detroit. I was really hoping last year, if my Ravens got there and they played Detroit, I didn't care if they lost to the Lions, because then it would have been so funny that Stafford gets them to a Super Bowl, wins it, and then Goff takes his new team to the Super Bowl and wins it. And not to mention Kurt Warner got there 3 times with, twice with the Rams and the Cardinals, So I love Kurt Warner, like I told you. I'm a huge fan of him. And, like I told you off camera, I would cut Matt Leinart all the time because I wanted it to be, Warner's team, just like when he was on the Giants. I get rid of who's ever in front of him there. But, Michael, I appreciate you coming on here talking Rams football. Again, this is the Redzone Roundup, Mayhem Media putting this on with Friends of the Squared Circle. Again, we want to know what your favorite team is. Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channels, as well as check out our Facebooks. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there. But it's your boy, CranderQ. CranderQ out.